So here's how much things have changed in the last 24 hours or so, all right? Like you and I were doing the show yesterday. We got off the air at 6 o'clock. The Phoenix Suns traded down from 22 to 28 yesterday. What about 7:15, I think? 7:10, 7:15. Ultimately, they made their pick about 7:45 or so. And not knowing what the Suns were going to do today with the second round over, we both kind of had this idea of coming in. All right, let's talk about Ryan Dunn. Let's talk about the Virginia kid that they got. And let's talk about how much pressure there is on him to be great right away, and whether Ryan Dunn can be great right away, because the hole in his game is such a gaping hole that it's hard to believe that they're going to be able to fix that in 1 year. But then something odd happened on the way to the Ryan Dunn critique. Today happened. And today, the players that they drafted and the moves that they made, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about this, suddenly the focus is not just on the one guy anymore they got in the draft. The focus is on the total vision of everything that happened, and that really takes the pressure off of Dunn, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. There are certain ways to phrase it, but the way that I'll choose to right now is that it is obvious to see where Ryan Dunn is a gamble as a prospect, because when you hear about a poor shooting prospect or a poor shooting profile for a wing, you might have a certain idea in your head. Ryan Dunn hit 12 threes over 2 seasons with Virginia. He hit 12, and he shot 24% on those total attempts. Even more concerning, he had 99 free throw attempts, and he made 53% of those. And that is where, okay, we can work with it. Let's figure out an offensive role for you in the meantime. What you've got to be able to add after that, for example, Josh Giddey was a guy who got traded a couple days ago. People are talking about the shooting and how much of a concern it is, but Josh Giddey is a fantastic playmaker. He's one of the best playmakers in the league right now, I would argue. So he provides offensive value in that kind of way. Dunn's a really good cutter. He's a really good offensive rebounder. But as a playmaker and a decision maker, there's just some hesitancy and there's some stuff to catch up on, where he had 35 assists in 65 games for Virginia. He was just not... He was a play finisher. That's what he was doing. He was finishing at the rim. He was hitting the very occasional three, but he wasn't in a situation where this guy's closing out on me, I'm making 2 dribbles, and then I'm making this pass. He did it every now and then, don't get me wrong. But again, that's half an assist a game. So you're just not really... The offensive role for him is just unclear. And how do you untap that? Are you playing him as a small ball 5 now? Is he a screener? That's where you still worry about the short roll decision making that someone like Oso Ighodaro, for example, doesn't have to worry about. But all of this is worth it, Dave Burns, because he's the best defensive prospect in the entire draft.
Yes, and everybody agrees on that. You will. I don't think I found one person who didn't think that he was Kevin Pelton, who I have a lot of respect for, and I think you do too.
Everyone should, yeah.
A week ago, he did his top 30 big board for the draft. He had Ryan Dunn number 19 on his list for that reason and that reason alone. Called him a lock defensively. He is a lock already defensively to be a great player in the NBA.
He will win them games next year. There's going to be games he plays next year where he plays 18 minutes. The offense wasn't a problem because the defense wasn't whatever. Or he was knocking down threes. And then he is just going to make a handful of plays defensively, and you're going to be like, that. You guys are going to come on your show, and you're going to be like, that 6-minute sequence from Ryan Dunn changed the game.
Yeah.
He is that type of defender.
And it's blocks, and it's steals. It's the combination of both. It's the ability to take defense and turn it into offense with turnovers and things like that. But I fell into the trap too, and my mind started racing and thinking about, okay, all of the players, not just in Suns history, but in general history, who came out of the college basketball, and you said, okay, yeah, he's a real good athlete. He does this well, he does that well, but he doesn't shoot. And look at this guy, he learned how to shoot, and look at that guy, he learned how to shoot. I know we're playing the snippet from the Wolf and Luke show, and Ron's comparing him to Sean Marion. And I was here when Sean Marion was drafted. I remember the concerns about his offense. The problem with just about all of those comps is that for all of the question marks about the Marions and the Matisse Thybulles of the world when they came into the league, you start comparing their college numbers to each other, and Ryan Dunn's on another level from those guys, a worse level from those guys when it comes to his ability to generate offense on the college level. Marion was able to do it. Thybulle was able to do it. Dunn wasn't really able to do it in 2 years.
Yeah, the optimism here is that I've gone through 6 new monitors of watching college basketball over the course of the last decade because my TV, laptop, phone, just catches on fire watching the Virginia offense. It is a crime against humanity. I wrote that it should be shot into the sun forever and never exist again.
And I laughed out loud when I read that in your story this morning, by the way. Laughed out loud.
It is plodding. It is really slow. And players like Dunn specifically will get really, really hurt by having a role in there. He is going to benefit from more pace and more space. He is going to have a ton of that with the Suns. So is that going to help him a little bit more offensively? We'll see, but something that you included in your email, and I agree a lot, Mike Budenholzer is coming in here and he has a lot of challenges. He has a lot on his plate. And one of the top assignments right now for this coaching staff now turns into, can we have Ryan Dunn not be a positive on offense, but just be fine?
Yeah.
Can we get away with playing him on offense? Because the defense, we've got a guy to guard Anthony Edwards now. We've got a guy to guard John Morant now. We've got a guy to guard LeBron James. And think about the 3 different athletes those guys are: size, speed, all that stuff. Dunn can hang with all of them. The first time you watch this kid get in a stance and slide his feet, you are going to be amazed. He moves.
Yeah, and it should be pointed out, for all the flaws that he has offensively that we've been talking about here, we all have to acknowledge the fact the Suns didn't have even remotely close to a guy like this on the roster last year. I mean, not even you.
I respect the Josh Okogie
with
comparisons.
4 or 5 more inches.
Remember that Nuggets series? We were talking about Josh coming in defending Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray just cooked everyone in that series. And that is why you have Josh Okogie on your roster, and he couldn't handle the assignment. Josh is a very good defender, don't get me wrong. But that level of defense, you're looking for him to at least affect other star players. That's what Ryan Dunn will do, and Josh showed an inability to at times.
But, and this is the overarching theme of all of this, at least for me, for all of the risk and for all of the, oh man, if this doesn't work out, this is going to, like we were even talking in our emails to each other about, hey, is this a failure if Ryan Dunn's not great in year 1? And is it going to be too much of a challenge to make Ryan Dunn great in year 1?
If he has a jumper in 5 years, it doesn't matter. He needs to have a jumper soon.
But what they did today kind of changed that equation a little bit.
Does indeed.
Because the pressure is off Ryan Dunn to develop that jumper, and the pressure's off Mike Budenholzer to a certain extent and his staff to make Ryan Dunn be passable offensively immediately, because you've got other players that might help you more in the immediate future. And I think that's kind of the brilliance of what the Suns did today. They took the pressure off themselves a little bit to make Ryan Dunn be good offensively in year 1, right? Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I think without a shadow of a doubt, we would have had so much every game that Ryan Dunn played, and the ones where the shooting looked to be like, oh man, they shouldn't have done this. They should have taken this guy, that guy. We're going to have that conversation a little bit later, but with that being said, all that matters is you got 3 guys. If one of them is a suitable rotation player for you next year, you knocked it out of the park.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.